In this video, I'm going to give you a review of using the four-square model for adding and subtracting fractions that do not have the same denominator. So this is actually question number 1 on page 252 of the big math book. It is 5/12 plus 1/3. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down my problem exactly how it is in the book. From there, I'm going to just draw my lines, and I'm not going to go all the way down the page to separate it into my 4 sections. So looking at my problem, I can see that I have a denominator of 12 and a denominator of 3. I cannot add or subtract these two fractions because they're not the same. So therefore, I have to make them the same by finding the least common multiple, or you'll also see that it's named least common denominator because we are only dealing with the denominators. So to find the least common multiple or the least common denominator, we want to write the multiples of each of those denominators. So I'm going to find the multiples of 12 and the multiples of 3. So this, I'm just going to skip count. So I'm going to have 12, 24, 36, and I'm going to stop there since it's a big number. I don't want to just keep going on and on. So if it's a smaller number, I want to start with the first 5 multiples and then move down to my second number. But here with it being a big one, I'm just going to do the first 3. So then I'm going to find my multiples of 3. So here we'll have 3, 6, 9, 12, and I'm going to stop there because here I already see that I have a 12 here and a 12 here. And that's the lowest number that they have in common, which is telling me that that's going to be my LCM because that's my lowest common multiple. I'm going to use this number to find the equivalent fractions that have the denominators 12. So I'm moving down to my third box. I want to make both of those denominators 12, and please make sure that you bring down your operation symbol. That way when we start to do the work, we remember if we need to add or subtract. So to find equivalent fractions, one thing to remember is whatever I do to my denominator, I need to do to my numerator. So I'm going to ask myself, what can I multiply by this 12 to get this 12? Well, that's only 1. So I'm going to multiply this denominator by 1. So therefore I need to multiply this numerator also by 1. 5 times 1 is 5. So this is 5/12. Over here, I'm trying to ask, how can I go from 3 to 12? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12, so I'm going to multiply the denominator by 4, and I'm going to multiply the numerator by 4. And 1 times 4 is 4. Now that they have the same denominator, I can just add my numerators together and keep my denominator as 12. So 5 plus 4 is 9, and my denominator will stay as 12. Now, the most important step that we don't want to forget is that we need to simplify. So over here on this part, I'm going to simplify. And the way to simplify is that we want to find the greatest common factor, or the GCF. Remember, a factor is the two numbers that you can multiply together to get this number. So I'm only looking at what my answer is right here to simplify. So I have a 9 and a 12. So I want to find the factors of 9 and the factors of 12. So I'm going to ask myself, what numbers can I multiply together to get 9? So I want to start with the lowest. So I know I have 1 times 9, and I want to spread them out a little bit. And then I can't multiply anything by 2, but I know I have 3 times 3. And then there's nothing else from there. So my factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. Now my factors of 12, I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to start at 1 and ask myself, what can I multiply by 1 to get 12? So that'll be 1 times 12. Then I'm going to go up and say, is there anything I can multiply by 2? And there is. I can say 2 times 6. Then I'm going to go up and ask myself, is there anything I can multiply by 3? And once again, there is 3 and 4. And that is all our factors of 12. I know it got kind of yucky over here, writing sideways. So my factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. I want to find the greatest number that they have in common. So the greatest number of 9 is 9, and I don't have a 9 up here. So then my next one is a 3, and I actually have a 3 right here. So my greatest common factor of 9 and 12 are 3. Here, I'm going to take my greatest common factor, and I'm going to divide my answer over here by 3/3. Once again, whatever I do to my denominator, I do to my numerator. It's the same number I'm going to divide by. I'm not going to do two different numbers. So now, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. That's as low as this number will go. That is the simplest form. So therefore, my answer, and I'm just going to write it down here a little bit so I can see it better, and then I'm going to circle it. It's 3/4. You can either have it written over here, or some people write it over there. That's fine, as long as you have your final answer circled. Okay, so I hope this helped refresh your memory on using the 4 square model to add and subtract fractions that have unlike denominators.